This lesson goes with Lesson 9 of Kittel and Hoffer's Introduction to Biblical Hebrew. Here's our sentence for today. So the question, as always, is how does one pronounce this sentence? If we begin with the first word, vahem, then our verb, lo yad'u. Remember that the little vertical line there, the meteg, indicates that this is long a, yad'u. Then ki, shomea, Yosef. So if we put it all together, v'hem lo yad'u ki shomea Yosef. V'hem lo yad'u ki shomea Yosef. Okay, let's begin with our verb, yad'u. This should be familiar to us from Lesson 8. This is, of course, the root yada in the kal. We notice that the comets there is the characteristic vowel of the kal affix. So we have here kal affix. We notice our shurek at the end of this word indicates third masculine plural form, and we have no special features. So our verb yad'u, kal affix, third masculine plural of the root yod, dalet, ayin. So the translation, they knew. Now our form is not simply yad'u, but we also have lo. So lo yad'u. How do you translate now? They did not know. Now our phrase is v'hem lo yad'u. So let's look for a minute at v'hem. So the first question is, what is this vav doing? This, of course, is just a conjunction, meaning and. It could also mean but, contextually. So either and or but. And then haim. We have not seen haim before this lesson. This is the third masculine plural personal pronoun, meaning they. Let's pause for a minute to review our independent personal pronouns. You have seen most of these, although we have never put them in a chart quite like this. So we'll start with the third masculine singular. In English, that would be he. In Hebrew, who. Third feminine singular. In English, she. In Hebrew, he. Second masculine singular, you. In Hebrew, ata. The feminine form, you, is at. And then the first common singular, I, in English, is ani in Hebrew. We can do the same thing on the plural side. So we've learned this just as vocabulary, the third masculine plural. There are two possible forms. One is hema or haim. Hema or haim. Third feminine plural, hena or hain. Hena or hain. As I mentioned in class, one way to remember this is haim, mem for masculine, hain, nun for not masculine. The second masculine plural is atem, and the second feminine plural is aten. Again, mem for masculine, nun for not masculine. Finally, first common plural, we, is anachnu. Anachnu. Now, we have talked a little bit about uses of independent personal pronouns. So just by way of summary and explanation, independent personal pronouns can be used as the subject of a verbless clause. This is the most common way that they're used. So, for instance, we've seen recently, Ani Adonai. I am the Lord. Here we have no stated verb, but the juxtaposition of the independent personal pronoun with the noun suggests a be verb. Ani Adonai, I am the Lord. or ata ha'ish, you are the man. Ata ha'ish, you are the man. So one use is as the subject of a verbless clause. A second use is to add emphasis. So for instance, Adonai hu ha-Elohim. The Lord, He is God. There are also other uses as well, which we will discuss later. Okay, so if we return to our phrase so far, Vahem lo yada'u, and they did not know, or if you wanted to be emphatic, and they themselves did not know. One could say this without the independent personal pronoun. Lo yada'u by itself means they did not know. Vahem lo yada'u is emphasizing the subject of the verb, so they themselves did not know. Okay, the remainder of our verse for this lesson, Ki shomea Yosef. First question is, what is our ki? This is simply a vocabulary word. It can mean that, because, or surely. The final word, Yosef, is simply a proper name, Joseph. So we look at the remainder of our verse, which is shomea. So this form is the cal active participle, masculine singular, of the root shin, mem, ayin. Participles have gender and number, as nouns do. This one is masculine singular, shomea. The masculine singular cal active participle is marked by the following vowel pattern, using our strong root, pokade. So here we have an O vowel in the first syllable and an E class vowel in the second syllable. Pokade. This is the classic form of the masculine singular cal active participle. Pokade. One can also write the same word in pline spelling. So instead of the holum, you would write the holum vav. So pokade, fully written. These two forms, pokade with the holum and pokade with the holum vav, are exactly the same. Simply these are different ways of spelling. For our root, shin, mem, ayin, the vowel pattern is slightly different. For shema, the cal active participle will be shomea. Here we see a patach. This is what is called a furtive patach, and it shows up because gutturals prefer a patach-rich environment. So shomei is uncomfortable for the ayin, so it transitions, it sticks in a little patach there, shomea. Participles are essentially verbal adjectives, so they have some functions of verbs and some functions of adjectives. As verbs, participles suggest continuous occurrence of activity, so ongoing action. Here we see a Hebrew phrase, ish yoshev al ha'adamah. Of course, here our participle is the second word, yoshev, marked by the classic OA pattern for the cal active participle masculine singular. The most straightforward translation is a man is sitting on the ground. Now, tense is determined by context here. So this could equally well be read, a man is sitting on the ground, or a man was sitting on the ground, or a man is going to sit on the ground. It depends on what is happening in the literary context. When all else is equal, we probably will translate it in the present tense. A man is sitting on the ground. Secondly, as adjectives, the participle describes the action that a noun is doing. So, for instance, ish yoshev, a sitting man, or a man who sits. Ish yoshev. So it functions here as an adjective, a man who sits, a sitting man, or a man who is sitting. Participles can also function as nouns. Essentially what they're doing here is functioning as substantive adjectives. So they are verbal adjectives that have come to function as a noun. So for instance, holech is our participle from halach, cal active masculine singular participle. So one who is walking, which can be more smoothly translated as a walker. So in some cases, this participle can be a noun, one who is walking, or we could translate a walker. Now it's important to realize that holech does not mean walking as in an activity itself. So I enjoy walking. This would not be the way that one uses the participle. That will be another construction that we'll talk about, the infinitive construct. So holech is a walker. My wife is a walker. But I would not use it to describe the activity. So not I enjoy walking. Okay, so let's bring back in the rest of the phrase, Ki Shomea Yosef, and we can translate this phrase now. We still don't know for sure what the ki means out of context, but it's going to best mean that. So Ki Shomea Yosef, that Joseph was listening. We translate the participle here as past tense because if you remember, the verb was an affix verb, yadeu, which is also translated past tense. So the participle is taking its cue from the main verb of the sentence. So let's look at that whole sentence. V'hem lo yadeu ki shomea Yosef. So as we translate as a whole, and they, v'hem lo yadeu, they did not know, ki shomea Yosef, that Joseph was listening. And they did not know that Joseph. Okay, one last point about participles. As you can imagine, participles of middle weak roots are irregular. You've come to expect by now that most second vav or second yod middle weak roots are irregular in most forms. The cal active participle is no exception. The good news, which is also bad news, is that for the masculine singular, the participle of the cal active looks just like the cal affix. So for a root beit vav aleph, it is ba, translated is coming, or one who is coming. For kof vav mem, kam, is arising, or one who is arising. For sin yod mem, sam, is setting. Now you may be asking yourself, how does one distinguish the participle from the affix? And the answer is, in the masculine singular, you can't do it simply morphologically. So you have to think about what it needs to mean in the context, and there is frequently some ambiguity about what you're looking at. In the other forms, the feminine singular, the masculine plural, and the feminine plural, they will be clearly distinguishable. But we do not know yet enough to talk about that. So, let today's evil be sufficient unto the day. Rock on. See you tomorrow.